Chapter 1. The Arrival of Coffee. In the grim confines of Cold Mountain Penitentiary, Paul Edgecombe stood as a beacon of stern compassion amidst the hardened criminals and the harsh realities of death row. His years of experience had hardened him, yet he retained a sense of humanity that set him apart from his colleagues. His world, however, was about to be turned upside down with the arrival of a new inmate, John Coffey. Coffey was a man of colossal stature, his towering frame and muscular build enough to send shivers down the spine of the most hardened criminals. He was charged with a crime so monstrous, it sent ripples of unease through the prison, the brutal murder of 2 innocent little girls. Yet, as Paul soon discovered, Coffey was a paradox that defied all his years of experience. Despite his intimidating physique and the horrific crime he was accused of, Coffey was a man plagued by a childlike fear of the dark. His nights were punctuated by screams that echoed through the silent corridors, a stark reminder of his vulnerability. His demeanor was gentle, his movements hesitant, and his voice soft, a stark contrast to the hardened criminals that populated the prison. Paul, who had seen men of all kinds walk through the prison gates, found himself intrigued by Coffey. He was unlike any inmate he had ever encountered. His politeness, respectfulness, and empathy were traits rarely seen in a man condemned to death. His fear of the dark, so profound, was a trait that was uncommon among the hardened criminals in the penitentiary. This intriguing contrast between Coffey's appearance, his crime, and his behavior, stirred a curiosity in Paul. He found himself drawn to Coffey, wanting to understand the man behind the crime. This curiosity set the stage for a deep and complex relationship between Paul and Coffey, a relationship that would become a central theme in the unfolding narrative. As Paul delved deeper into Coffey's world, he found himself questioning his own beliefs and understanding of human nature. The towering man with a childlike fear of the dark was not just another inmate on death row, but a puzzle that needed to be solved, a story that needed to be told. And Paul, the seasoned death row supervisor, found himself at the center of this unfolding narrative, a narrative that would forever change his life. Chapter 2. Unveiling the Supernatural. Paul Edgecombe, the stern yet compassionate overseer of the death row prison block, known colloquially as the Green Mile, was grappling with an agonizing urinary infection. The relentless pain was a constant torment, gnawing at his sanity and impeding his ability to carry out his duties with his usual efficiency. Among the condemned souls under his watch was John Coffey, a colossal black man with a physique that could intimidate the bravest of men. Coffey was charged with the horrific murder of 2 innocent little girls, a crime that sent shivers down the spine of anyone who heard about it. Yet, despite his formidable appearance and the monstrous act he was accused of, Coffey exhibited an unexpected gentleness and a childlike fear of the dark. One day, as Paul was writhing in pain, Coffey beckoned him to come closer to his cell. With a heart pounding like a drum, Paul cautiously approached the cell. Coffey, with his enormous hands, reached out to touch him. As soon as Coffey's hands made contact with Paul, a peculiar sensation surged through him. The pain that had been his relentless companion vanished in an instant, leaving him in a state of stunned disbelief. Paul was left utterly bewildered by Coffey's inexplicable healing touch. He found himself questioning the nature of Coffey's character and the heinous crimes he was accused of. This miraculous event marked a significant shift in Paul's perception of Coffey. He began to harbor doubts about Coffey's guilt, and these doubts gnawed at his conscience, compelling him to delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding Coffey's conviction. As Paul embarked on this quest for truth, he found himself torn between his duty as a prison guard and his growing belief in Coffey's innocence. This internal conflict would test his resolve and challenge his understanding of justice, forever altering his life and the lives of those around him. Chapter 3. The Miracle of Mr. Jingles. Within the grim, foreboding walls of Cold Mountain Penitentiary, a beacon of hope flickers in the form of John Coffey, a man of towering stature and a heart as tender as a child's. Amidst the hardened criminals and jaded guards, a tiny mouse named Mr. Jingles becomes a symbol of companionship and a distraction from the harsh realities of prison life. The mouse's existence, however, is abruptly threatened when Percy Wetmore, a guard notorious for his sadistic tendencies, mercilessly crushes the creature under his boot, eliciting gasps of horror from the inmates and his fellow guards. Yet, the seemingly extinguished life of Mr. Jingles becomes the stage for Coffey's extraordinary abilities to unfold. Coffey, a man of sparse words but deep compassion, cradles the lifeless mouse in his enormous hands. A hush descends upon the room as Coffey's hands radiate with an otherworldly light. The guards and inmates watch, their breaths held in anticipation, as the light gradually recedes, and the once still mouse begins to twitch in Coffey's hands. Mr. Jingles, previously a casualty of Percy's brutality, is now a living testament to Coffey's miraculous gift. The mouse's revival not only brings a wave of joy and relief to the inmates and guards but also serves as a pivotal moment for Paul Edgecombe, the prison's supervising officer. Paul, who had been wrestling with doubts about Coffey's guilt, finds his belief in Coffey's innocence strengthened. The miracle of Mr. Jingle cements Paul's faith in Coffey's extraordinary abilities and paves the way for a deeper investigation into Coffey's enigmatic past and the true nature of his gift. Chapter 4. The truth unfolds. Within the oppressive walls of Cold Mountain Penitentiary, a man of colossal stature and gentle demeanor, John Coffey, awaited his fate on death row. Accused of the savage murder of 2 innocent girls, Coffey was a paradox, a gentle giant with a crime so brutal attached to his name. Yet, as the narrative unfolded, Coffey's supernatural abilities revealed the true monster behind the crime to Paul Edgecombe, the prison guard. Coffey, a man gifted with the extraordinary ability to heal and absorb the suffering of others, bestowed upon Paul a vision. A vision so vivid and horrifying, it painted the gruesome events of the crime in stark detail. The vision unveiled the true perpetrator, not Coffey, but William "Billy the Kid" Wharton, another inmate within the penitentiary's cold walls. Wharton, a man of volatile temperament and unpredictable behavior, had been a thorn in the side of the prison staff. Yet, no one had ever suspected him capable of such a monstrous act. The vision was a chilling tableau of Wharton's sadistic delight in his crime, a stark contrast to Coffey's gentle nature and his innocent demeanor. This revelation plunged Paul into a moral abyss. He found himself torn between his duty as a prison guard and the shocking truth of Coffey's innocence. The impending execution of Coffey, an innocent man, while the real murderer roamed free within the prison, gnawed at his conscience. The scales of justice seemed to be horribly skewed, and Paul grappled with the enormity of the injustice. The revelation also shed new light on Coffey's abilities. His power to heal and absorb the pain of others was not confined to physical ailments. It extended to unveiling the truth and absorbing the emotional torment of the victims. It was a heavy cross that Coffey bore, and Paul was left to wrestle with the implications of this newfound knowledge. The gentle giant was not just a healer but a beacon of truth in a world shrouded in lies and deceit. Chapter 5. The Execution of Wharton. Paul Edgecombe, the seasoned overseer of the death row prison block, known colloquially as the Green Mile, found himself in a moral quandary. His team of guards, usually a bastion of order and discipline, were being pushed to their limits by the relentless cruelty of one prisoner, William "Wild Bill" Wharton. Wharton was a man who reveled in chaos, his sadistic antics a constant source of danger and tension within the prison's grim walls. Wharton's lack of remorse for his heinous crimes was chilling, his violent behavior a stark reminder of the evil that men were capable of. The guards, hardened though they were by years of service, found themselves tested by Wharton's malevolence. In a move that blurred the lines between justice and vengeance, Paul and his team decided to take matters into their own hands. They hatched a daring plan, one that would put them at odds with the very law they were sworn to uphold. They managed to drug Wharton, rendering the beast of a man unconscious and vulnerable. It was a risky gambit, one that could cost them their careers, or worse, their freedom. With Wharton incapacitated, they staged his execution. The air was thick with tension as they strapped him into the electric chair, a grotesque mimicry of the official procedure they had witnessed too many times. The guards, usually the upholders of law and order, found themselves in the unsettling role of judge and executioner. Despite the severity of their actions, there was a sense of grim satisfaction among the guards. They felt that Wharton deserved a taste of the fear and helplessness he had so often inflicted on others. Yet, the moral implications of their actions hung over them like a dark cloud, casting a long shadow over their momentary victory. The staged execution of Wharton served as a stark reminder of the thin line that separates justice from vengeance. It underscored the immense pressure and moral dilemmas faced by those who work within the prison system, forced to grapple with the darkest aspects of human nature. It was a grim testament to the toll that dealing with individuals like Wharton could take on even the most steadfast of men. Chapter 6. The Final Miracle. In the heart of the narrative, the tale reaches its poignant zenith. John Coffey, a man of colossal stature yet a heart tender as a child's, finds himself shackled by the cold iron of injustice, condemned to death for a crime he did not commit. Despite the looming shadow of his own demise, Coffey, blessed with a supernatural ability to heal, decides to wield his power one last time for the sake of another. Melinda Moores, the wife of the prison warden, is in the throes of a relentless battle with a malignant brain tumor. Her once vibrant life has been reduced to a symphony of pain and despair, her every breath a testament to her suffering. Coffey, touched by her agony, offers to alleviate her torment. He proposes to draw her sickness into himself, a process that would drain him both physically and emotionally. The act is performed under the watchful eyes of Warden Paul Edgecombe and his fellow guards. They stand as silent spectators, their hearts heavy with a mix of awe, fear, and respect. Coffee, the condemned man, takes upon himself the pain of another, his body convulsing under the strain of the disease he willingly absorbs. Melinda, who had been teetering on the precipice of death, is miraculously restored. Her transformation is as immediate as it is profound. The strength returns to her limbs, her pain dissipates like morning mist, and she finds herself able to embrace life once more. This act of selfless kindness, performed by a man marked for death, leaves an indelible mark on all who bear witness. Coffey's final act, in the face of his impending execution, is one of boundless love and compassion. His inherent goodness and innocence shine through, casting a stark contrast against the grim backdrop of the prison system. His actions underscore the tragic irony of his fate, a poignant reminder of the flawed nature of human justice. Chapter 7. The Unjust End. Paul Edgecombe, a seasoned prison guard, found himself ensnared in a moral quandary that gnawed at his conscience. The looming execution of John Coffey, a man of colossal stature yet gentle demeanor, was a burden he bore heavily. Coffey, a man of supernatural abilities, had been accused of a heinous crime, the brutal murder of 2 innocent girls. Despite Paul's unwavering belief in Coffey's innocence, the damning circumstantial evidence and the absence of any tangible proof to absolve him left Paul feeling helpless. Coffey was an enigma, a man of few words with an almost childlike innocence that belied his imposing physique. His acceptance of his grim fate was marked by a quiet dignity that left a profound impact on those around him. His only plea was to face his end without the customary hood, a request born out of his fear of the dark. This simple request served as a poignant reminder of his innocence and vulnerability, further deepening Paul's internal conflict. The day of the execution was a harrowing ordeal for Paul. He was tasked with overseeing the procedure, a duty that felt like a betrayal to the man he had grown to respect and care for. The room was thick with tension as Coffey was strapped into the electric chair, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the grim proceedings. The moment the switch was flipped, a wave of despair washed over Paul as he watched the life drain out of Coffey. The aftermath of Coffey's execution was a haunting experience for Paul. He was left grappling with a profound sense of guilt and loss, haunted by the injustice of Coffey's death. Coffey, a man of immense physical strength, had been unable to defend himself against the prejudices and fears of society. This event left an indelible mark on Paul, forever altering his perspective on justice and the value of human life. His faith in the system he had served so diligently was shattered, replaced by a deep-seated cynicism and a haunting sense of regret. Chapter 8. The Aftermath. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room, Paul Edgecombe found himself in the company of his dear friend, Elaine. His eyes, now clouded with age, held a depth of wisdom and a hint of sorrow as he began to share a tale from his past, a tale that was as extraordinary as it was heartbreaking. In his younger days, Paul had been a prison guard at the formidable Cold Mountain Penitentiary. It was there that he met John Coffey, a man whose physical stature was as imposing as his soul was gentle. Despite being convicted for a heinous crime, Coffey carried an air of innocence that was impossible to ignore. He was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. He possessed a miraculous healing ability, a gift that he used selflessly, even in the face of his own suffering. Paul's narrative was punctuated by the presence of a small mouse, Mr. Jingles. The mouse, once a mere resident of the prison, had been touched by Coffey's healing power and had lived far beyond its natural lifespan. Despite his advanced age, Mr. Jingles was still lively, a living testament to Coffey's extraordinary gift. However, Paul's longevity was not without its burdens. He was haunted by the memory of Coffey's execution, a man of innocence and kindness, put to death by a flawed justice system. The guilt of outliving his loved ones, a consequence of the extended life granted to him by Coffey, weighed heavily on his heart. As he shared his story, Paul's voice was tinged with a profound sadness. His prolonged life, while a gift, was also a curse. It was a constant reminder of the injustice done to Coffey, a man who had done nothing but good in a world that had treated him so cruelly. The story concluded with Paul reflecting on the paradox of his existence. His longevity brought with it a deep sense of loneliness and the heavy weight of the past. He was left to ponder the cost of immortality, the solitude it brought, and the haunting memories of a man who had been wronged by the world. His tale was a poignant reminder of the fragility of justice and the enduring power of kindness. Chapter 9. Conclusion. Life is a journey filled with unexpected turns, and sometimes, the most unlikely individuals can teach us the most profound lessons. The Green Mile explores the themes of compassion, empathy, and the human capacity for both good and evil. It reminds us that appearances can be deceiving, and that everyone has a story worth telling. The book also delves into the concept of justice and the flaws within the penal system. It challenges us to question our preconceived notions and prejudices, urging us to look beyond the surface. It emphasizes the importance of kindness and understanding, even in the face of cruelty and injustice. The supernatural elements of the story serve as a metaphor for the extraordinary potential within each of us to effect change, whether it's through small acts of kindness or grand gestures of sacrifice. The Green Mile is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and the transformative power of love and compassion. In the end, the book leaves us with a poignant reminder of our mortality and the fleeting nature of life. It encourages us to cherish each moment, to seek forgiveness, and to extend grace to others, for we are all walking our own green mile.